morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are, and welcome to Global Atheist News. This is our report on the impact that religion has had on humanity over the last 7 days. Dateline 18th of February 2023. This week's headlines. The Taliban have banned the sale of contraceptives. 2 Afghan brothers get life for killing their sister in Germany. A top Iranian chess player has been exiled for refusing to wear her headscarf. A man was beaten to death by a mob over alleged blasphemy in Pakistan. Bangladesh withdraws schoolbooks after anti-LGBTQ backlash by Islamist groups. The BBC India offices were searched by Hindu government income tax officials. In Portugal, an inquiry finds the Catholic clergy abused nearly 5,000 children since 1950. A new Catholic clergy sexual abuse report comes from the University of Fordham. Sandi Toksvig starts a petition to remove the bishops from the House of Lords. A Polish activist was arrested for helping a woman to get an abortion. The Church of England is to explore gender-neutral terms for God. And Sam Smith's Grammys performance caused people to cancel their TV service. The Taliban have quietly stopped contraceptives from being sold to women in Kabul and Baik provinces, ordering pharmacies and drugstore centres to no longer stock them. Drug sellers in Kabul and Mazar-e-Sharif have confirmed that their Taliban officials have ordered them not to sell any pills, ampules, or medicines used as a contraceptive. They say it's haram, or forbidden, under Sharia law. The unofficial ban has doubled the price of available contraceptives, but there's no regulation of the drugs as they are sold secretly on the black market, and the Taliban is not tracking their import. A German court on February the 16th sentenced 2 Afghan brothers to life in prison for murdering their sister because they disapproved of her lifestyle. The victim, a 34-year-old mother of 2, was found buried several weeks after going missing from her home in Berlin in July 2021. Surveillance video showed her brothers, Yusuf and Mahdi, boarding a train carrying a heavy suitcase believed to have contained her body. The judge said the brothers killed the woman because she was increasingly pulling away from their controlling influence. When one of the world's most promising chess players, 25-year-old Sarah Kardam, decided to play at an international tournament without her headscarf, in solidarity with the protest movement in Iran, she thought a warning would be the worst that would happen to her. Instead, she can't return to Iran. There are arrest papers waiting for her, and she now lives in exile in southern Spain with her husband and 1-year-old son. She and her family asked the BBC not to reveal her precise location. Their worry is that there may be repercussions even thousands of miles away from Iran. In Pakistan, a mob lynched a person who was arrested by police on blasphemy charges after attacking a police station in Nankana Sahib, Punjab. See this video. Authorities in Bangladesh said on Saturday that the nation has withdrawn 2 new school textbooks after protests from Islamist groups incensed by a curriculum overhaul to recognise transgender identities, same-sex relationships, and secular science. Thousands have protested in the capital of Dhaka since last month, demanding that the National Curriculum and Textbook Board should scrap the changes to the books published for students aged 11 to 13. Islamist groups had protested a curriculum overhaul, and one of the withdrawn books included The Theory of Evolution, pioneered by British naturalist Charles Darwin. BBC offices in India have been searched as part of an investigation by income tax authorities. The searches in New Delhi and Mumbai come weeks after the broadcaster aired a documentary in the UK critical of Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi. The BBC said it was fully cooperating with authorities. "We hope to have this situation resolved as soon as possible," a short statement added. Although the documentary was broadcast on television only in the UK, India's government has attempted to block people sharing "India, the Modi question" online, calling it hostile propaganda and anti-India garbage with a colonial mindset. Last month, police in Delhi detained students as they gathered to watch the film. The documentary focused on the Prime Minister's role in anti-Muslim violence in Gujarat in 2002 when he was Chief Minister of that state. See this video.
This is a complete violation of all kinds of, democratic fundamental rights of every citizen of this country.
Catholic clergy in Portugal have abused nearly 5,000 children since 1950, an independent commission said on Monday, after hearing thousands of survivors' accounts. Thousands of reports of paedophilia within the church have surfaced around the world, and Pope Francis is under pressure to tackle the scandal. The Portuguese inquiry, commissioned by the church in the staunchly Catholic country, published its findings after hearing from more than 500 survivors last year. This testimony allows us to establish a much larger network of victims, at least 4,815, the commission head Pedro Strecht told a press conference in Lisbon that was attended by several senior church officials. In 2018, the Catholic world was reeling from the 1-2 punch of abuse allegations against Cardinal Theodore McCarrick and the scathing Pennsylvania grand jury report exposing Catholic clergy sexual abuse of over 1,000 children over the previous 70 years. That reckoning prompted a group of researchers from 10 Jesuit institutions to mobilize, to look for ways to stem a crisis of clergy sexual abuse that is now reaching its 4th decade. At Georgetown University, a priest began studying the healing effect of abuse survivors' stories. An ethicist at New York's Fordham University began investigating how black survivors had been erased from the clergy abuse crisis. In Milwaukee, an interdisciplinary team of Marquette University started a workshop for Catholic teens on abusive power dynamics. These projects are 3 of the 18 funded by an unnamed foundation and whose findings are published in Taking Responsibility, a 68-page report just released by Fordham University. The report includes case studies of abuse cover-up in Baltimore, Chicago, and Omaha, Nebraska. Research on topics such as moral injury, guides for whistleblowing, and for communicating about abuse. Though the report concludes with recommendations for Jesuit leaders, the findings, according to project director Bradford Hinds, a professor of theology at Fordham, can be applied broadly. Writer and broadcaster Sandi Toksvig has launched a petition to remove the bishops appointed to the House of Lords. See this video.
Behind me are the Houses of Parliament. There are only 2 countries in the world where representatives of the state religion automatically get a seat in the legislature. They are the UK and Iran, a curious and indeed uncomfortable club of 2 to belong to. 26 bishops from the Church of England, selected by the Church, sit as a matter of right in the House of Lords. Not bishops from Scotland, Wales or Northern Ireland, not leaders of our many other beliefs, Muslims, Catholics, all other Christian faiths, Hindus, Jews, Sikh, Humanists, Buddhists and so on. None of them have an automatic right. Just Church of England bishops. These bishops can vote on every law that is passed, and indeed 9 of them turned up to vote in 2013 on the Act of Parliament which introduced same-sex marriage. They all voted against, including the present Archbishop of Canterbury. It became law anyway, but it's a law the Church doesn't have to abide by because the Church of England has an exemption from equality legislation, meaning they do not have to follow British laws enacted to help us toward a more equal society if they don't want to. Most recently, a new bishop has been appointed to Blackburn. He has publicly announced that he will not ordain women as priests, will not take the sacrament from a woman priest, or even from a man who has been ordained by a woman. This misogyny is entirely legal, and his predecessor sat in the House of Lords. I am practically standing in the shadow of the medieval Lambeth Palace, home to the leader of the Church of England. It's tempting to suggest that the current thinking of the place matches the age of the building. Of course, everyone in there is entirely free to think as they please. What they should not be allowed to do is to hold sway in our house, the Houses of Parliament. It doesn't matter what your faith is or even isn't. It's discriminatory and it has to stop. I have today launched a petition to remove the bishops from our legislature, which you can sign here. Iran and the UK. Time to make that a club of 1.
When asked about a Polish activist arrested for helping a woman to get an abortion, Polish President Andrzej Duda said his country's constitution stipulates the protection of life. See this video.
At the moment, in your country, an activist, Justyna Wojcicka, is being prosecuted and could be sent to prison for helping a woman get an abortion. Now, many of our viewers would find that very difficult to accept, very difficult to understand. Is that proportionate? Would you like to see the prosecutor drop those charges?
Pani redaktor, Madam, you're asking me, as I understand, about my personal views and opinions. I am Catholic, and of course, because of that, I am a very strong defender of life, and I'm an opponent of abortion. So that is all I can say about this. Now, and of course, I have always been for life, for the protection of life, and I have never been hiding this.
But this is a question really about the law and how the law is used in your country. I absolutely respect your views on that. But is it proportionate that in this country, for the first time, an activist could be sent to jail?
In Poland, if we're speaking about the status, the legal status, the Constitutional Tribunal took a decision, it passed a ruling. So these are not laws which would have been passed by the Polish Parliament. The Constitutional Tribunal passed this judgment, which repealed the provisions it considered were contrary to the Polish Constitution, because the Polish Constitution clearly stipulates protection of life.
The Church of England has announced that it would explore alternative words to describe God, after some clergy asked to use more inclusive language in services. The dominance of masculine language for God certainly matters. As feminist theologian Mary Daly wrote, "If God is male, the male is God." In other words, talking about the Christian God in exclusively masculine terms privileges men in society and underpins male dominance. According to a church spokesperson, the official Christian doctrine is that God has no gender, yet he is described almost exclusively in masculine terms, and since the church continues to struggle with issues of gender equality, this project is likely to be contentious. Critics will see this as an attempt to undo the long Christian tradition of calling God He and Father. But feminine language and imagery has also been part of church history. Sam Smith and Kim Pratas's provocative Grammy performance has been inundated with complaints for glorifying Satan. On Sunday, the pair took to the stage with their hit single, Unholy. It saw the singers dance with fire while donning blood-red outfits. Smith was seen wearing a hat with horns. This was simply too much for some, who immediately took to social media to complain and to theorize that somehow it featured a satanic ritual. See this video. This week's Free Thought Hour, the show that follows this news, features LCB Brooks, features LCB Brits, a South African journalist who focuses on science and medical matters. You can join in by texting your comments and questions. It's live and it's free. And don't forget to watch Views on the News, our spin-off show with a panel of opinionated people who get to express their views on this very news. The GAN team will be back with our weekly news report next week. Please like, share, subscribe, comment, and set the notifications. This has been Global Atheist News. Thank you for watching.